Hello, this is Linda Pease. This is my Module 13 presentation for EDL 850, which has to deal with tort law. So the first thing we'll do is discover what it is. What's tort law? Well, tort law is grounded on the lawful idea that individuals are responsible for the penalties of their own behavior or lack thereof when such behavior results in damage to someone else. In a school or a classroom setting, tort law is the most common area of the law that subjects teachers, principals, board members, and school districts to liability or accountability. In most education-related civil lawsuits, there are two main categories, and that would be intentional and negligent. Now, in most cases, the victim is looking for some sort of monetary payment, and they may or may not be granted that payment. So let's talk about the differences between negligent and intentional. All right, negligent tort, all school personnel are expected to provide a safe environment for students to the utmost degree conceivable and are under obligation to take measures to ensure their safety and to anticipate any harm. In other words, they're expected to foresee any harm that may be looming in the background. This is the law. Otherwise, the teacher, the school district, board members, they can be charged with negligence, and the burden of proof is not on the victim, because in a negligent tort, there's usually some sort of a physical damage. Intentional tort includes any type of deliberate attack, physically, verbally, or emotionally. Burden of proof is on the victim or the victim's parents and guardian. It may or may not include malevolence or malice, hatred, spite, some sort of intention to harm that person, physically, verbally, or emotionally. Tort liabilities, it's uncommon. However, it's possible with the absence of good decisions and simple common sense. So if you just use common sense, especially when you're dealing with children, I teach adults, but when you're dealing with children, I don't have to go out on the playground. I don't have to have a classroom full of students that are interacting constantly. I teach at a college, and everybody's pretty much on their own. And I don't leave my classroom, and nobody gets up and starts fighting and or trips over something. Everybody's busy doing their work. So with children especially, you have to just use simple common sense and good decisions. So next I'm going to talk about a couple of cases. My first case is Frame versus Camo. There was a substitute teacher who was giving a test, and there were some students that were being out of order, and he asked them to leave the class, and they did. Next, there was a student that was asked to leave the classroom for being disruptive, and he wouldn't go. So the substitute teacher, Dr. Barry Camo, approached Casey Frame's desk. Frame stood up and faced him. Camo grabbed Frame by the arm to escort him out of the room. Well, Frame's parents, Frame lost his balance and fell against the blackboard, and then his parents filed a suit claiming assault and battery, and that it was an unprovoked attack. The court found it was obligatory for Camo to remove Frame not only to sustain order in the classroom, but also to enable the learning process for the other students. So Frame didn't win his court case. My evaluation was to reactively to interview the remaining students in the classroom, proactively make sure there's faculty training, including substitute teachers, suggest giving the students guidelines prior to the test to stress the importance of being respectful of classmates who are also taking the test, and the repercussions of not doing so. Professional ethics, calling on a supervisor to intervene immediately. Case number 2, Flanagan versus Canton. During a gym class, teacher Canton noticed the students were disorderly. Canton stayed in the gym to talk with a student after class. The remaining students went to the locker room to change. One student pushed another, Flanagan, and Flanagan was injured when he fell. He sustained some decent injuries. Flanagan's mother sued the school district and won, based on the fact that the teacher should have had close supervision because the students were misbehaving earlier in the class. Foreseeable. My evaluation, reactive, interview every student that was present during the altercation. Proactive, faculty training. Be sure to impress the importance of being present during any group of students, especially when the tensions are high. Professional ethics, call an administrator, a supervisor, security, someone, and ask for a trained person to come and assist during and after the class, especially when tensions are high. Case number 3, Johnson Johnson versus School District of Millard. A student was injured during a music class. The teacher gave instructions on how to play the London Bridges game, and I would imagine that's something where you grab somebody by their hands and their feet and you swing them back and forth. The teacher turned away from the class to write on the blackboard. The game got out of hand, and the student was flung into the air, and his eye was badly injured. The school was found guilty of negligence. My evaluation, reactive. Interview, of course, students and teacher. I would have a conversation with the teacher and advise never to allow the students to play a game without his or her direct supervision, especially one that includes anything physical. Proactive. Coach teachers on proper safety and the repercussions of not being safe in the classroom, on the schoolyard, in the cafeteria, wherever it might be. Professional ethics. As part of a teacher's orientation, I would make my faculty aware of the imminent dangers of taking their eyes off of the students at any and all times. Especially when you're dealing with minors, it's a whole different ballgame than, for like in my case, I deal with adults. They don't play like that. I don't have to worry about that. But when it comes to minors, you can't take your eyes off of them. My next case is Mitchell versus Cedar Rapids. 2 students in a special education class didn't show up for school one day. Teacher didn't report it. Students had a sexual encounter, and Mitchell filed suit claiming negligence on the teacher. My evaluation, reactive. Locate the students, interrogate the teacher. See whatever details you can find out. Proactive, be sure that teachers are informed what to do in the case of a special education student, especially. Professional ethics, inform supervisors of the student's absence, notify the law enforcement if necessary. You have to take extra special precautions when you're dealing with special education students, but it goes with any student, special education or not. And my last case is Gebser versus the Lago Vista Independent School District. Gerber filed a lawsuit against a teacher from the school district for sexual harassment. The teacher was off campus when the alleged harassment took place. The school was found not responsible and therefore not liable. My evaluation, reactive. I think the teacher should be fired immediately. Whether they were found guilty or not guilty, just the fact that that subject came up, the teacher should be fired immediately. Proactive. Plenty of faculty training. Don't have a personal conflict with any student outside of the school setting. Not a conflict, a contact with any student outside of the school setting without the parents or some other reputable person there. Never be alone with a student outside of the class setting. I teach adults, and I wouldn't have any contact with any of my students outside of the school setting, let alone when we're dealing with minors. Professional ethics? All school personnel should be trained on what an appropriate behavior is and what is not. And this training should go on an annual basis. So that's my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next module. Ciao.